This is Tyler Henry. He's famous for talking to dead people, like Robin Williams.
A couple weeks ago, I was just hanging out. I heard Robin Williams come through.
If real, Tyler's ability would be one of the most significant discoveries in mankind's existence. The wheel, electricity, the atom bomb, Tyler Henry. But there's also a more logical explanation for Tyler. He's a liar.
For years, Tyler Henry built a career by telling celebrities things about their deceased loved ones that he claimed he could not possibly know. Millions of viewers were fascinated, while critics accused him of being something far less extraordinary. Then, in 2019, Hollywood medium suddenly disappeared from television without a public explanation from the network. There was no farewell announcement, final statement, or a clear reason for its disappearance.
Tyler Henry built a Hollywood career on talking to the deceased. His show, Hollywood Media, made headlines, but his own story, from eerie visions to unexpected health emergencies, is just as wild.
At 10 years old, you don't even know your identity or who you are, let alone this whole other realm of existence.
So what really happened to one of E's most talked about shows? And did the controversy surrounding Tyler Henry have anything to do with it? Join us as we uncover the story behind Hollywood medium's unexpected end. Hollywood's most wanted medium. Tyler Henry grew up in Hanford, California, a small city in the San Joaquin Valley with a population of around 60,000 people, which is about as far from Hollywood as it is possible to get while still being in the same state. He has said publicly that he first noticed something unusual about himself at the age of 10, when he experienced what he describes as a premonition about the death of his grandmother that he shared with his mother before the event occurred. He grew up in an environment that was not immediately supportive of the ability he believed he had, and the journey from Hanford to E! Entertainment was not a straight line. He had a waiting list of clients before the show existed. The production team at 44 Blue Productions and Corbett Stern Productions, who had been developing the concept, found him not because he was seeking television exposure, but because his reputation as a working medium in the Los Angeles area had grown to the point where he was already the person that certain celebrity clients were calling. When the cameras first followed him in 2015 for what would become the pilot, he was 20 years old and doing readings for people who were genuinely expecting results rather than television content. The show's production went to specific lengths to ensure that Henry did not have prior knowledge of the celebrities he was reading. He told Elite Daily in 2018 that production goes through extraordinary measures to make sure he never knows who he is reading. His mother or his assistant drives him to the reading and follows a lead vehicle so that nobody in the cast knows where they are going until he arrives at the celebrity's doorstep. The production team kept the celebrity's identity from him until the moment of the reading itself, which was their primary defense against the accusation that the readings were the result of prior research rather than genuine clairvoyance. Hollywood Medium premiered to strong ratings for E! The celebrity roster across 4 seasons was extraordinary by any measure. He read Kardashians, RuPaul, Megan Fox, Sofia Vergara, Rebel Wilson, Howie Mandel, Jim Parsons, Selma Blair, LaToya Jackson, Tori Spelling, Boy George, Teresa Giudice, Iggy Azalea, Snoop Dogg, and dozens of others. The combination of his youth, his apparent sincerity, and the emotional reactions of the celebrities sitting across from him created compelling television that a significant portion of the audience found genuinely moving. Whether or not viewers believed in his ability, they kept watching. And the critics who did not believe in his ability were getting louder with every season. So who exactly was accusing him of fraud? And what specific techniques were they saying he was using? The skeptics, who called him a grief vampire. From the moment Hollywood Medium premiered, the skeptical community was watching with the specific attention of people who understood the techniques that make cold reading work and who recognized what they were seeing. Tyler Henry became a frequent target for the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, which published multiple articles about him, and for the Neurologica blog, which was one of the first major outlets to use the label grief vampire to describe his work. The Skeptoid blog ran similar coverage. The core accusation was consistent across all of these sources. Tyler was using cold reading techniques, specifically the practice of making vague statements, and then using the subject's reactions to guide the reading toward apparently accurate conclusions on celebrities who were easily researched and whose public biographies contained the kind of biographical detail that could make a reading appear specific without actually being so. One piece of published criticism pointed specifically to instances where Henry appeared to accidentally reveal prior knowledge during readings, stumbling over details in a way that suggested he was working from researched information rather than received impressions. The celebrities being read were, almost by definition, people whose public lives and family histories were documented in interviews, obituaries, and public records. A motivated researcher with access to a search engine could identify family members who had died, the circumstances of those deaths, the celebrities' publicly known relationships with those people, and the emotional themes most likely to resonate. Boy George was one of the most visible celebrity skeptics during a reading. He expressed how vague he found Henry's insights, which stopped Henry's reading entirely because he could not proceed without the validation that allowed him to navigate toward more specific territory. Kylie Jenner's co-host and friend Jordan Woods stepped in and encouraged Boy George to work with Henry, which led to an uncomfortable exchange that became one of the show's more awkward, documented moments. Henry's reading of Matt Lauer in 2016 on The Today Show became a specific talking point. He delivered a reading that covered Lauer's maternal grandfather, his deceased father, their shared love of fishing, Lauer's health, and other personal details. What he failed to anticipate or mention was Lauer's incoming sexual assault case, which emerged publicly in 2017 and resulted in his immediate termination from NBC. Skeptics pointed to this as evidence that his supposed clairvoyance had clear and convenient limits. Supporters argued that mediums do not work as predictive fortune tellers, and that the Lauer reading was not a failure by the standards of what he claims to do. Henry's response to all of this criticism was to go on the offensive in the most unusual way imaginable. He volunteered for a brain scan. And what did that scan reveal? The brain scan that was supposed to prove everything. At the end of Season 4 of Hollywood Medium, Tyler Henry did something that almost no psychic or medium in television history had previously attempted. He agreed to undergo a functional MRI brain scan during a reading, with a neurologist interpreting the results in real time, in an attempt to demonstrate that something measurably different was happening in his brain when he claimed to be receiving information from the dead. The brain scan was filmed for the Season 4 finale and represented the production's most direct response to the sustained fraud accusations. A neurologist conducted and interpreted the scan, examining which regions of Henry's brain showed activity during readings compared to his baseline state. The conclusion presented in the episode was that his brain showed unusual activity patterns during readings that the neurologist described as consistent with a different cognitive state than normal thought. Whether this proved anything beyond the neurologist's interpretation is a question that the skeptical community was quick to raise. A brain scan can demonstrate that something is happening in someone's brain during a specific activity. It cannot demonstrate that the cause of that brain activity is communication with deceased individuals, rather than the normal cognitive effort of pattern recognition, inference, and emotionally resonant cold reading. The scan satisfied some viewers and satisfied none of the critics who had been making the fraud accusation in the first place. Henry himself has consistently said that he never claimed to be all-knowing. He told Metro Weekly in 2018 that being a medium is a very controversial career, whether it is due to vocal skeptics or the responsibility he feels for those who seek him out for spiritual guidance. He has described a genuine fear of humiliation and the risk of looking fake as things he has always lived with. The fear of looking fake, he said, has never stopped him from doing the work. The Brain Scan closed Season 4. What nobody watching that finale knew was that it was also closing the show. E never announced a Season 5. The question is why, and the answer is more complicated than a simple cancellation. The real reason E walked away. The most important thing to understand about why Hollywood Medium ended is that E never issued a formal cancellation statement. There was no network announcement, no press release, no statement from Tyler Henry or his team about the show's end. Season 4's finale aired on April 18, 2019, and then the show simply ceased to exist on the E schedule without explanation. 3 years later, in March 2022, Tyler Henry appeared on Netflix with Life After Death with Tyler Henry, a completely different format produced by the same production companies that had made Hollywood Medium. The Netflix show took him across the country to read ordinary people rather than celebrities, drawing from the enormous waiting list he had accumulated across years of practice. The same 44 Blue Productions and Corbett/Stern Productions that had made Hollywood Medium made the Netflix show, meaning the creative team had stayed together and simply moved to a different platform. This detail is crucial. When a show ends because of a fundamental problem with its host or its content, the creative team tends to disperse. When a show ends because a platform is no longer the right home for it, the creative team takes it somewhere else. The latter is what happened with Hollywood Medium. E! Entertainment had been in the middle of an identity shift during the period when Hollywood Medium ended. The network had been built on celebrity gossip, red carpet coverage, and the Keeping Up with the Kardashians franchise that had defined cable television for over a decade. As streaming platforms began pulling younger audiences away from cable, E! was under pressure from parent company NBC Universal to redefine what it was and who it was programming for. A show about a medium reading celebrities belonged to a specific moment in E!'s programming history that the network was moving away from. The format had also run its natural course within the specific context of celebrity readings. By Season 4, Henry had read a very large proportion of the most commercially attractive celebrities available to him on the E! platform. The A-list names that had made the first season so compelling had given way to slightly smaller profiles in later seasons, which reflected the reality that not every celebrity was willing to participate, and that the pool of willing celebrity subjects was finite. Henry himself has described a waiting list that contained hundreds of thousands of names from ordinary people seeking readings, which represented a commercially significant audience that the E! celebrity format was not designed to reach. The Netflix format, which took him to these ordinary people across the country and gave each reading more time and depth, was a direct response to that waiting list and to the format limitations of what Hollywood Medium had been able to do. Moving to Netflix was not a fall from grace. It was a deliberate upgrade to a platform that could accommodate a different and more ambitious version of what he was doing. And then Netflix took it even further, from Hollywood Medium to live television on Netflix. The progression from Hollywood Medium on E! to Life After Death on Netflix in 2022 was significant enough on its own. Netflix then went further in 2024 with a show that nobody in the medium or psychic space had previously attempted on a major platform. In 2024, Henry partnered with Netflix for Live from the Other Side with Tyler Henry, a series in which readings were conducted live and unedited, with no post-production work on the content of what was happening between him and the people he was reading. He told the outlet promoting the new series, We, going live, will see what happens in real time with very little safeguards. He described it as appealing to both skeptics and believers because it would show what the cameras usually do not show on Hollywood Medium after editing. The skeptical community was not convinced. An opinion piece published by the Skeptical Inquirer in 2024 criticized his performance on Live from the Other Side, speculating that facing guests without any prior preparation actually demonstrated that he is not a reliable medium rather than proving the opposite. The specific argument was that the live format, intended to remove the possibility of editorial manipulation, instead revealed the vagueness and fishing that cold reading depends on when there is no editing to select the best moments and remove the misses. Henry's response to this criticism reflected his established position. He told the Seattle Times simply, "I embrace skepticism." He told The Cut in 2024 that he cannot simply stop doing readings, even if he wants to, saying, "If I want to take 3 weeks off, by week 2, I start feeling a little funny." He described the experience of not doing readings as being spiritually constipated. Whether this statement reflects genuine spiritual experience or effective personal branding is something that the viewer is left to determine individually. But the debate over whether Tyler Henry's abilities are genuine only tells part of the story. Because while millions of viewers spent years watching him connect celebrities with their departed loved ones, very few ever learned much about the person behind the readings. The personal story that Hollywood Medium never fully told. One of the most significant differences between Hollywood Medium and Life After Death was how much of Tyler Henry's personal life appeared on screen. Hollywood Medium focused almost entirely on the celebrity readings, with relatively little time given to who Henry actually was outside of those moments. Life After Death changed this by incorporating a genuine personal mystery into its first season. Henry's family history, specifically the circumstances surrounding his biological family and a mystery connected to his genealogy that he pursued through the same approach he claims to apply to his readings, became the emotional spine of the Netflix series in a way that celebrity readings never could have provided. The show that emerged was more intimate, more personal, and more vulnerable than anything Hollywood Medium had been. He is now married to his partner Clint Godwin, whom he married in May 2025. He has been open about being gay in a way that the E format had not particularly explored. His personal life, his family mysteries, and his relationship to his own claimed ability have all become more visible on Netflix than they were on the network that first made him famous. The brain surgery story that emerged in 2025, when Henry underwent 3 separate brain surgeries related to a colloid cyst that had been causing symptoms, added another dimension to his story that no amount of celebrity readings could have generated. He described memory problems that left him, in his own words, like a goldfish sometimes. A man whose entire professional identity is built on remembering and communicating the details he claims to receive, experienced a medical episode that directly threatened the cognitive capacity on which everything depends. The health crisis did not end Tyler Henry's career. If anything, it became another chapter in a story that had already evolved far beyond the television show that first made him famous. And that raises a larger question. After all these years, what exactly did Hollywood Medium leave behind? What Hollywood Medium actually left behind? Hollywood Medium ran for 4 seasons, 39 episodes, and introduced Tyler Henry to an audience that would follow him to Netflix and beyond. The show premiered when he was 20 years old and ended when he was 22. In the years between that final episode in 2019 and the current moment, he has published a memoir, completed 2 Netflix series, married his partner, survived 3 brain surgeries, and continued to operate one of the most commercially successful medium practices in American history. The show ended not because it had failed, but because it had served its purpose. It introduced Tyler Henry to a large enough audience that he could build everything that came after it. The E platform was the launchpad. Netflix was the destination. And the real reason Hollywood Medium ended is simply that the story Tyler Henry was trying to tell had outgrown the format and the platform that had given him the space to begin telling it. Whether that story is genuine communication with the dead or the most skillfully executed cold reading in the history of television is a question that will never be fully resolved. What is not in question is that Hollywood Medium built an audience loyal enough to follow him off cable television and onto streaming, and that the young man from Hanford, California, who had a waiting list of hundreds of thousands of people before any camera ever pointed at him, is still working and still filling that list years after the show that made him famous went off the air. Do you think the move from E to Netflix was the best thing that ever happened to Tyler Henry's career? Or do you think the celebrity format of the original show was what made it special and irreplaceable? And if Tyler Henry were to come back to network television tomorrow, would you watch? And what would you need the show to do differently? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.